When you look at reality, you have to see trends. And when you understand the trend, then what you realize is what reality is all about. And all of reality boils down to three things. The first is God wanted to make free choice beings. So, what gives us, or what makes us us, is the ability to really have a brain and have the ability to choose, should I do A, should I do B? Eventually, because even our choices are actually from God. However, they really are our choices as well. For example, if I give my child, I say you can have apples or you can have pears. Now, my child really made a choice. But if I was kind of infinite and I wanted my child to, I don't know, choose pears, one of the things I could do is I can give them the choice every single day. And eventually they'll realize on their own that apples are not as, let's call it, delicious as pears. And so, in a similar sense, God gave us exactly as He says in the Torah and the Bible: see, I have placed before you light and darkness, actually, good and evil, life and death, the blessing and the curse. The blessing is if you listen to me, the curse is if you don't. Now, this is a very, very fascinating point because the Shalah, one of the great Kabbalists, says that the curses of the Torah, they're not curses, they're consequences. In other words, if I tell you, listen, don't touch that stove. If you touch it, you'll get burnt. So what happens if you touch it? Did I hurt you? No, you hurt yourself. And as we go through life, we begin to realize that our own minds and our own choices were stupid. And when we listen to God, the choice itself is in our interest. So it's like, of course I'm going to take the pear, I'm not going to take the apple. And so therefore, the first step of the process, which is choosing to listen, has taken place. The second step of the process is it has to be who to listen to. And God, as we speak now, as statistics show, is coming to perhaps billions of people, certainly hundreds of millions, and having a direct communication. And each person's very interesting. Sometimes people have a thought which they didn't think, and then they do it and they see it worked out for them. Personally, something that changed my life was that I read from Zvi Freeman in 365 Meditations, based on the Rebbe's wisdom, that if you don't know what to do, you can ask God. And the first thought that comes to mind is his advice. And when I advise this to people, it changes their life. Because, as the Rebbe says, God is always talking to us. It's like the universe has all frequencies at all times. It's just a question of which channel are you listening to. And so when you realize that you need some help and listening to God is a good idea, so then the frequency always was there. It's just about listening to that frequency. And then eventually what occurs is the most beautiful thing possible. As Einstein said, we don't know the secret of God, but when we do, I'm sure it will be both simple and beautiful. And this is really what it is. It's both simple and beautiful. And remember, Einstein was looking his entire life for the universal field theory, how to make it all make sense, but he didn't figure it out. Because in a way, it's not a physical thing that we're dealing with. It's a relationship thing that we're dealing with. And basically, the way it works is like this. You get yourself to a conscious level in which the interaction between God's thoughts and your desires effectively are so in sync that you can't even tell which is which.